It is a first down. Pirates.
You can paint this one purple. What an incredible win by the ECU Pirates.
Welcome into Blackbeard's Alley, a Pirate football podcast. We appreciate everyone tuning in. We're continuing our opponent previews. We have 3 remaining, and today we're talking the Charlotte 49ers as we enter year 2 of Tim Albin. Of course, the Niners were 1-11, 0-8 a year ago, but Coach Albin had done just a tremendous job at Ohio U, winning 10 games in 3 consecutive seasons, now moving into year 2. To talk about the 49ers from the Highway 49 podcast, welcome back, Hunter Bailey. Hunter, how's your summer going?
Pretty good, man. Just got back from the beach, so I got to, lock back in and become a person again tomorrow.
Nice, yeah. We're discussing that off the air, a week and a half down at Dirty Myrtle, as they say, or the redneck Riviera. But so, yeah, going into year 2 of Coach Albin, like I mentioned, 1-11, 0-8. I'm sure there were some positives that came out of the last season in 2025. But let's just start off with, what's the general vibe around the program entering year 2 of Coach Albin?
Yeah, I think they know there's pressure now, right? So you mentioned Albin's past, coming in 3 straight 10-win seasons with Ohio. His first year there, they won 3 games, and then he was able to kind of turn it around from there. So this is off to a little bit of a different start. In his time at Charlotte, Mike Hill, the former AD, hired Tim Albin. That was his, I believe, 3rd football hire. And 6 games into Albin's tenure, they're 1-5, only wins an FCS win. They would go on to lose the remaining 6. Midway through that first season, Mike Hill gets fired. And the university brings in a new AD and Kevin White. Kevin White immediately made a change with the basketball side of things. So I think that kind of, ramps up the pressure a little bit with Albin not being their guy. The chancellor did come out, Chancellor Gaber, and say, Tim Albin has our full support, all the things that you would hope they would say. The thing is on paper, a 1-11 season is tough. And he's talked a little bit about the resources they had to fund that team. And hearing some of those numbers, you realize why they went 1-11. It didn't help losing your starting quarterback 4 games into the season, ACL, MCL tear. But coming back for this year, they brought in a new quarterback in Cole Gonzalez. They've got Connor Harrell back. They've got some guys. Totally new offensive line. The wide receiver room is brand new. The offense itself is going to be a total flip. So I think that they're excited about that. I think optimism is high that they can improve. I don't know how far they're going to be able to get. I think 4 to 5 wins is reasonable, but they're more so looking inwards and trying to just improve on last year as a whole.
Yeah, I saw one preview to your point that said, in this day and age, who knows how things are going to pan out. But, they said the floor would be a repeat of last year. The ceiling would be, right there, like you're saying, 4 or 5 wins, maybe getting into contention for a bowl there late in the season. But let's start with the quarterback position. You mentioned Connor Harrell back. He got hurt in the first maybe 4 or 5 games of last season, if not sooner. And then Grayson Loftus, I believe, is he also back? And then Cole Gonzalez, who had played very well at Western Carolina and then gone to Pitt. Now he's a 49er.
Yep. Yeah. So Cole Gonzalez coming in. So Harrell's been recovering from the injury. He's still not a full go. He didn't participate like a full go in their scrimmage this past Saturday. So I'd say the job right now is Cole Gonzalez to lose coming in. So you mentioned 3 years with Western Carolina, made a quick pit stop in the spring with Oklahoma, then ultimately followed his OC, Cade Bell, to Pittsburgh. He was kind of the odd man out with the Pittsburgh Panthers in the ACC. He ended up the 3rd string guy. And Charlotte actually recruited him last year. But, in today's age, the Pittsburgh money versus the Charlotte money is probably talking a little bit different. So he did what he had to do for a season. He was the guy through the spring, has been the guy so far in the fall. I expect he'll take the opening snaps. Grayson Loftus returning was shocking to me, just knowing that he had lost the battle to Connor Harrell last year, struggled in relief after Harrell's injury. I mean, they went winless after that. And then, knowing they had a freshman coming in, Jalen White, who's played really well in the spring into the fall camp so far. So I expect Grayson is going to end up 3 or 4 on the depth chart, but it is nice to know that you've got someone with reps under their belt, in case things go left and they end up in that situation again.
Yeah, you mentioned Cole Gonzalez and what he did at Western Carolina. Of course, Kerwin Bell, the head coach there, his son Cade had moved on from being OC at WCU to Pittsburgh and had taken some of the Catamounts' best players up to Pitt. But tell us what you can about Cole Gonzalez for those that aren't familiar. I've seen a decent amount of Western Carolina film. So what does Cole Gonzalez bring to the table?
Yeah, talking to him, he doesn't lack any confidence. He talks like he's going to be the guy, which I think you need at this point. If you're Charlotte, you want someone with that kind of mindset. But his best season with the Catamounts, around 2,800 yards, I believe 28 touchdowns as well, 7 picks. So really good production there, at least some proven production. Because coming in, I mean, you look at the transfers across the board with him spending last year in the ACC, it's Harrell, North Carolina, ACC, Duke, Grayson Loftus, ACC, and then obviously Gonzalez coming from Pittsburgh. He's got the ability to pull the ball down and run with it, which if you look at Tim Albin's offenses in the past, his most successful seasons have been with dual threat guys, being able to pull the ball down, have some kind of option. They worked out of the pistol a ton his last couple of years at Ohio. They didn't do any of that this past season in Charlotte. So the big thing for me is Todd Fitch, the OC, his last 2 seasons as offensive coordinator, 2020 with Vanderbilt, 14.8 points per game. Fast forward, his next opportunity as OC, Charlotte last season, 14.3 points per game. So they're going to have to find a way to ramp that up. I want to see more from him, and I'm hoping that the improved offensive line is going to give whoever that quarterback is some time, and we'll actually see if this offense can get off the ground this time around.
Yeah, Todd Fitch, certainly a familiar name to Pirate fans. That's the commonality between these two programs. Having spent, I guess, 5 seasons on Skip Holt's staff from 2005 to 2009 as the Pirates OC. And yeah, like you mentioned last year, 14 points per game, 286 yards per game, and 26 was the most points the Niners scored against an FBS opponent. But shift to the skill positions, because I know the Niners brought in a host of guys from the portal, and at least on paper, I hadn't had a chance to watch a lot of film on these guys except Jaden Barnes because of him playing for App and having seen the Mountaineers play some. But Cam Pedro with Southeast Missouri, 65 catches for over 800 yards, and then Jaden Barnes that I referenced from App State, 55 catches and 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, so Barnes, I mean, he's got that slot position locked down, in my opinion. He's flashed pretty much the whole fall camp. Todd Fitch raved about him, talking to him. Charlotte fans have seen him play. Led the Mountaineers in both catches and touchdowns a season ago. You feel pretty good about that production because Charlotte's replacing a lot, right? Javen Nicholas was literally Charlotte's go-to guy last year. He's a Duke Blue Devil now. Sean Brown, EJ Mason, their other top 3 receivers, all of those are gone. So they're replacing a lot of production. So you mentioned Cam Pedro coming in. He'll get the ball a lot. And then you look at someone like Derek Ely with Charlotte. He only caught 5 catches last year, scored a couple touchdowns, one being on a kick return. I think he's going to get a lot of time, whether that's, we'll see what happens, how they're going to utilize Jaden Barnes. I think we'll see a lot of different stuff with him as Todd Fitch's offense kind of opens up. But then you got Tank Boston coming over from NC State. Quite a few guys back to Adam Hopkins, Jalen Hampton. There are some guys. There's some proven talent. You mentioned Pedro coming in 800 yards. I just kind of want to see how they, gel, because there is some talent in this room. I just want to see how it comes together, and if the competition level there is going to be similar in this conference and kind of how it all unfolds.
Speaking of talent and guys transferring in, tight end Logan Malden coming in from SCS McNeese State. Anybody that knows anything about FCS football knows that McNeese State, down through the years, has had a very tradition-rich program. But what can you tell us about Logan and what he can bring to that position?
Yeah, absolutely. So heard some good things about him through the fall. This past scrimmage, the tight ends got a lot of work, a lot of stuff down the field. Him being one of them. Gus McGee's a returnee in that position. I think Gus, primarily a blocker, can get out and catch passes too. So we'll see how that group comes together, man. I think the biggest takeaway for Charlotte is the offense is pretty much brand new. I mean, if it is going to be Harrell playing that position, that'll be a familiar face. Otherwise, most of these guys are brand new. And I think that's, like I said a minute ago, you hear Tim Albin said about the offensive line, the new faces are a necessity more so than a concern. After last year, they needed new bodies. And I think that goes for pretty much every position on offense. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Logan plays in the second scrimmage coming up here pretty soon. And we'll see kind of what role they use him in. Because, one thing about Tim Albin, he wants to run the ball. So if they need to go 12, 13 personnel, get those bigger body guys on the field to block, I think this could be beneficial because they finally got some new running backs. Because last year that was pretty rough in that position room.
You mentioned the new bodies coming in on the offensive line out of necessity. So tell us a few guys to keep an eye on, some of the key names there. And then you talk about that running back room. I think Alexander, Williams, and then you had another, a third FBS transfer.
Yeah, so starting on the O-line, pretty much completely new. Christos Fernandez is the only guy that got some starts last year that's back. He'll play tackle. The big fish that they landed is Javen Williams coming over from Penn State. He was a 5-star recruit out of high school. Didn't play much with the Nittany Lions and has now found himself at Charlotte. So I assume, I don't know this for sure, but I assume that's their biggest NIL spend, get somebody to protect the quarterback's blind side. So he's coming in. He's got the left side of the offensive line locked down. I assume he's going to get, as many chances as possible in that position. But I've heard good things so far. He's done well, played good in the portion of the scrimmage a week ago. And other positions, Nick Kruji's taken over the center position. There's been a lot of excitement about him. They missed Johnny King for most of last year with injury. They really didn't have anybody because their backup center, Isaiah Bullardick, ended up tearing his ACL on the second day of camp. So Bullardick is back, got some depth in that line room. I think that'll be a couple good pieces to build on. Moving to the running backs, they returned 2 guys, Henry Rutledge, who's like an explosive gadget guy, good kick returner, punt returner. You've got Jerry Cobb, who was 5th or 6th on the depth chart to start last season and ended up being the feature back at the end of the year because literally none of the other guys could stay healthy or hold on to the ball. So he kind of became the guy. He's back. They've got Chance Williams coming in from Cincinnati. You mentioned him. Kamani Alexander coming over from Appalachian State with Jaden Barnes. And then Demarion Petit coming over from Coastal. So they've got 3 new faces. And in scrimmage number 1, they split the reps evenly. So I don't know if there's a true favorite in that room yet. I've heard a lot of good about Chance Williams, who started his career with Grambling, ended up with Cincinnati, didn't get a lot of burn there, just 29 carries over 2 years. So a lot of competition in that room. I think it's going to end up being by committee regardless. Maybe not necessarily like a workhorse back, got some guy getting 20 plus a game. So we'll see what happens there. But like I say, splitting reps evenly now, and hopefully they'll kind of dwindle that number and figure out who fits the best as camp goes.
As you've already established, Todd Fitch, the OC, is back for year 2. Tell us about the defensive side of the ball. A year ago, 36 points per game allowed and 472 yards. And obviously that's not good, but at the same time, very little offense for the Niners, as we already talked about. So the defense is having to spend an awful lot of time on the field.
Yeah, after the season, I made like a 3-and-out rate chart. I did a deep dive on every possession, and it was brutal, man. It was 33% of the time 3-and-out. You're not going to win a lot of games like that. Coming out of the tunnel as well was brutal. I think they didn't score an opening drive touchdown a year ago. It was field goals only, and there was just a couple of those. So they weren't doing the defense any favors. They were on the field a ton. And watching it last year, the offense, you could tell, needed to be completely stripped down. The defense had some bones to it. You knew you needed some guys in the back end The secondary was rough. The pass rush, secondary and pass rush work together. If you're not getting the quarterback, coverage isn't going to hold up forever. So it was tough. The strength of this defense is still the linebacker core. They've got Caden Schmitz and Gavin Willis both coming back from a year ago. The defensive line is what I expect to take a big jump. They've got DJ Burgess. He missed most of last year with an injury. They've got Curtis Simpson coming back. He's a North Carolina transfer. They've got another Carolina guy and Devin Ancrum coming over. So that group should be improved. I don't know necessarily if they have like a 1A type pass rusher yet. They're going to have to, one of those guys is going to have to emerge and make some plays, get to the quarterback. And the secondary is completely new, right? They've got 21 DBs on the roster. Only 3 of them played more than 100 snaps last season. So it's going to be new regardless. I'd say Colin Gill is probably the leader of that group. It's their nickel. They got CJ Clink-Scales coming back. He was in the ACC for a bit, played with Boston College before coming to Charlotte a few seasons ago. And then they got Dylon Womack. He was a true freshman last year. The coaching staff raves about him. I'm looking forward to seeing, kind of his sophomore season campaign because he was one of the 3 that played 100-plus snaps as a true freshman. And it was like similar as I mentioned, the offensive line, it was almost out of necessity just because of how bad the back end struggled a season ago. So they've got some new guys in. Jameel Croft Jr. coming over from Kansas. Just a lot of new faces. Tredarius Smith's playing a lot on the outside. So it'll be interesting to see, man, because right now I think they're mixing and matching and trying to figure out where everybody kind of slots and trying to figure out the best 11 total on that side of the ball.
I know you were referencing the edge rushers, and forgive me if you've already talked about this. I don't believe you've mentioned it, but I was reading that on the interior there are at least 3 FBS transfers that weigh anywhere from 285 to 335 on the defensive line.
Yeah, so Devin Ancrum is the one that people are most excited about coming over from Carolina. He's a bigger body guy. Let's see, they've got him. They got Jamarian Solomon coming back. They've got quite a few guys. A Florida State transfer and the D-line. I'm totally losing his name right now.
Is it Denaz White or something? I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
Yeah, Denaz is a new guy. He's coming over. I'll think of the Florida State one. It'll pop into my head like as soon as we finish this conversation. But they've got quite a few guys in there. You feel better about the depth in there this year. I mean, it got to a point a couple seasons ago, like Biff Poggi's last year, depth-wise, that they had offensive linemen playing D-tackle. It was so rough. And last year, the injuries killed them, especially on the D-line or both the lines, really. So their excitement about that group, they feel better about it, and you can tell through the live periods we've gotten to see. The media hasn't gotten to watch a ton. And I think, in my opinion, that's the hardest position to evaluate when it's not live, just because as a D tackle, if you blow by that offensive lineman, you can't touch the quarterback. They're not tackling to the ground. So as they get more live periods, I'll know more. But right now, like I said, Devin Ancrum is the guy that they're most excited about, newcomer-wise, coming from North Carolina.
What light can you shed on the 49ers special teams? What's back and then what's coming in, and kicker, punter, and the return aspect?
Yeah, so Bronson Long more than likely will be the punter again. He was here last year. They only had 1 kicker on the team in the spring, Aiden Bowie. They got a NC State transfer. His name is Charlie Burtwhistle. Big concern right now is neither one of those guys, Aiden Bowie or Burtwhistle, has attempted a kick in college football, a field goal attempt or a PAT. Burtwhistle handled kickoffs for, I believe, 7 games with the Wolfpack last year, 25 touchbacks on 40 kickoffs, only kicked 1 out of bounds, which if you watch Charlotte football is pretty good. So it's one of those things where it's it's concerning to me not having a guy that's got any stats in that position to look at. The battle, and there wasn't a battle in the spring. Like I say, Aiden Bowie was the only guy. But Burtwhistle coming over, you feel pretty good about he'll probably take that job if I had to guess at this point, just being a ACC transfer. And you look in the kick return game, this is where I think it's probably Charlotte's strongest option. They got Henry Rutledge back. He was on the Jet Award watch list a couple years ago. Derek Ely's back. He's on it this year. Ely had, I believe it was the 6th best kick return average in college football last season. Uh, those two guys, Jaden Barnes, I think could do a lot of damage if you put him back there as punt returner. You got Jameel Croft. He's one of the DBs I mentioned. He was a kick returner in spots for Kansas in the Big 12. So they've got some options there. That's probably one of their best positions. And I think, building on an offense that was scoring 2 touchdowns a game max a season ago, you need those special teams to net. Like, they can't hurt you. They should only be helping you or equalizing. So hopefully that's a strong suit for Charlotte this year. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Brian Haynes, the special teams coordinator, does with that group.
Final thing, because we know you have to run, but give us your thoughts on this schedule.
Yeah.
We were already discussing the openers against the FCS, the Citadel, but certainly not an easy FCS game. And then you go to Ole Miss, you go to App, and then you have Louisiana, which replaced the trip to Louisville, but still a very, very attractive home game against the Raging Cajuns. And then within the league, man, talk about an appealing home schedule and a very challenging one. Memphis, Tulane on a Friday night on ESPN2, East Carolina, and then Navy.
Yeah, really fun just home schedule in general for Charlotte this season, and especially knowing, App's only a couple hours down the road. Most Charlotte fans could make that trip. But yeah, I mean, you open with the Citadel, you got to win that game. You got to, in my opinion, look pretty good doing it. Last year, it came down to the last play of the game to beat Monmouth, the only win they had in FCS foe. So you'll head to Ole Miss. They're number 10 in the nation. That's just going to be what it is. Charlotte's going to open the season there this next year, 2027. It was supposed to be a home and home, but they decided to flip it and cash a bigger payday. Basically, I think they're getting $1.6 or $1.8 million. Don't fact check me on that. It's one of those two. But and then you mentioned the App game. In my opinion, that's your benchmark in the non-con. You'll figure out how good you are. App blew them out essentially a year ago. And that game was maybe closer than the box score says. But then App was just dominant in the line of scrimmage, getting whatever they want. So Charlotte has to show a lot of strides there. And then you're right, you get Louisiana. That'll be a really fun game. It's a home game, which is good. And then the conference schedule, right? I mean, you talked about some of them. You get the conference champ, you get the conference runner-up, you get Navy, there's a lot of change in the American, right? I mean, they dodge all the Florida schools, which is good. I think South Florida is going to be good again. Charlotte always struggles with FAU. And then you look at some of the top dogs from last year, right? So many different, like, I have no idea what North Texas is going to be. Their entire team plays for Oklahoma State now, with Eric Morris taking the conference player of the year and Drew Mustamaker, all of those guys moving on. But just totally different league. And it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens with that. But the home games, I mean, Memphis, it's going to be a ton of fun. And then you look at that ECU game. I mean, last two seasons ago under Biff Poggi, that was the Charlotte staple, right? That's like the biggest deal under the Poggi era. Last year, ECU runs away with it. The last time they played at Charlotte, that was probably Charlotte's most fun home game for 49ers fans. I mean, they ran out of fireworks, so you're hoping you can have a duplicate performance of that. But looking on paper, it's going to be tough. And like I say, talking to people around college football, around the American, you see some winnable games. I mentioned, like, if you can get out of conference play 2-2, you feel, or non-conference play 2-2, you feel amazing if you're Charlotte. And then you're looking at that conference slate, like, okay, you've got Tulsa, you've got UAB, you've got some winnable games. But with Tim Albin, with this regime, I think this season, 4 to 5 wins keeps the job security good to go. You got to show tangible improvement from year one for him. And in my opinion, you got to at least beat one team you probably shouldn't. That's the way I'm looking at it for this season with Charlotte. If they can continue to build, continue to get the investment, and show something on the field, right? Because it's hard to win one game, have 11 losses, and then put your hand out and say, help us out. So I want to see some improvements to them. I think the biggest deal is Todd Fitch on the offensive side of the ball, because they got to score more than 14 points a game. So all that to say, we'll see.
Hunter, as always, appreciate the time. tell folks, because you've gone independent now with the Highway 49 podcast, tell folks how they can read your work and also listen.
Yeah, so we opened a Substack. The link to that is on my Twitter or X at Hunter_Bailey45. Check out the Highway 49 podcast. We'll be previewing the season there here pretty soon because, man, we got like 3 weeks. So I'm getting excited that itch is back and looking forward to catching up. Are you going to make the trip to Charlotte for the game this year, man?
Yeah, I'm actually in China Grove, so that's
okay. Yeah, not far. Yeah,
that's kind of a home game for me. I of course have season tickets down in Greenville, but yes, I will definitely be. Assuming my kids have nothing going on that day, I will be at Jerry Richardson Stadium. It's always subject to change when you have a daughter that's playing travel soccer. So
yeah, man.
But I've been fortunate. Fingers crossed it remains that way, and I'll be able to get to majority of the games this season. But as always, appreciate the time, folks. That is Hunter Bailey of the Highway 49 podcast. We've also caught up with Rini Ngolia. Rini, of course, is a longtime ESPN college football analyst and a Hall of Fame running back at UMass. We kind of surface level on all the teams in the American, but we've gone in depth with beat writers or play-by-play voices. Rich DeMarco of Army, Ted Alexander of Old Dominion, Jim Lighthall of USF, Ryan Wallen of Al's Daily, their 24/7 sports site, Adam Witten of App State, the play-by-play voice of the Mountaineers, Tyler Watts, the former Alabama quarterback and current color analyst of the Crimson Tide, and then last but not least, Jonathan Duran, the North Carolina Central play-by-play voice. So remaining, we have the Memphis Tigers and UAB. We'll catch up with Jonah Dillon probably on Tuesday afternoon. But until then, we appreciate everyone tuning in. And as always, go Pirates.